Hi, I'm Monica Weitzel, host of Community Hotline at Home. On today's episode, we'll be featuring Street Roots. Street Roots is Portland's award-winning nonprofit weekly newspaper, sold by people experiencing houselessness or extreme poverty to earn an income. As a member of the international network of street papers, Street Roots features alternative news, interviews, and poetry written by local journalists, as well as people experiencing houselessness and those who work with them. With us today is Kaia Sand, the executive director. Welcome, Kaia.
Hi, thank you, Monica. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. First off, can you tell us a little bit about how the distribution model of Street Roots has changed with the coronavirus? I'm sure that's been a big switch for you, big change.
Sure. So Street Roots, for any of your listeners who might not know, is a weekly newspaper, and our usual model is for people who are experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity to purchase the paper for a quarter and sell it for $1. And it's an income opportunity for people. Last year, we worked with over 830 people. So just to give a sense of scale, in any given week, it's closer to 200 people who are active. Okay. So when we saw the pandemic coming, it was early March, actually, we started diversifying a bit really quickly. And so in the beginning of March, some of our vendors, is what we call people who sell the paper, they were living on the side of the freeway, and they actually were operating a health tent themselves, realizing that there needed to be a kind of medevac situation for other people who were in the camps along the freeway. And they offered to show me that. And so I walked down there. It was really impressive, like the kind of shelving and everything with medical supplies, the cot, it was all ready for people. So I started working with them. I would say that was the first week of March, to actually think about how our vendors in this moment of transformation could continue to, in a sense, distribute the news as they're used to doing by selling a paper. But in this case, it was this kind of urgent distribution of accurate information, word of mouth, almost like a town crier. So to go out to people in camps and let them know about COVID-19, let them know accurate information, get them hand sanitizer. At that point, masks weren't as prevalent, right? But it was the hand sanitizer and things like that. Fast forward just a little bit. So March 13th is when we decided to just stop printing our newspaper. And this was such a big deal for our organization because we've been going for 20 years printing a newspaper. And we've actually been open 7 days a week printing. So it's been a very kind of rigorous situation. So, but because our model is person to person, we just were like, we need to stop. We don't want to risk COVID-19 spreading between housed and unhoused people. So March 20th was the first Friday that we ever didn't print the paper. So since then, we have been really active as a paper still, but it's digital. So in a sense, we bifurcated our model. We have this mission of creating media that creates income opportunities, but we had our media still, but it wasn't helping create those income opportunities. Mm-hmm. So we had to just start hustling, raising money to get money to people. And so between then and now, we have paid stipends for the action team and given out assistance to all the active vendors. Some of our vendors who are homeless themselves started working with people to help them apply for the stimulus money. It was over 200 people a few weeks ago, so that's 240,000. So we have gotten 400,000 in total, $400,000 into the pockets of unhoused people since March.
That's great. That's great. Because that's gotta hurt when you've got, like for everybody that's lost their jobs in the pandemic, it's, what do you do now? It's very hard to fill that gap easily because there just aren't jobs out there. What has it been like as far on a personal level for the vendors who have been selling, face-to-face with people? I know a lot of them enjoy that face-to-face interaction with people. I've talked with a lot of the vendors who've been just very talkative and friendly, and has that been an issue for them to now they don't have that available to them?
Definitely. I mean, I think one of the things that we've been concerned about is mental health in all of this. I mean, we know this is for whether someone's housed or unhoused, that it's just a really hard time of isolation. We have one vendor who writes poetry, and really, really good poetry. And I saw him on Friday because we were giving out assistance, and he was in the socially distanced line. He handed me a little packet of poems, and then he just said really quietly, "I miss people." And it was such a bustle that in some ways I missed the poignancy of it. And then it hit me later that night. So I think people are itching to get back to their customers. And we do have a relaunch date now because we've been working really hard with the health department on how we could do it.
I ran across a video that on your website, there were a couple of vendors who were talking about how they could be supported during this time. Do you care if we go ahead and show that? It was a good one. Okay, thanks. We'll do that now.
Hi. I'm Gary. I'm one of your vendors. I'm on 12th and Gleason.
I'm Randy. I'm on 27th and Hawthorne.
Just want to remind you guys that there might be vendors out after this virus is gone. But for now, don't be afraid to go read the digital. And don't be afraid to help your vendors out in the future. We will be back. I guarantee you that. And be safe and be healthy.
Be safe and be healthy.
So you mentioned something about stipends for the team. This is the Coronavirus Prevention and Action Team. Is that what you were talking about? So they're still out there working with the houseless community to let them know what's going on?
Yes. So in the earliest stages, they were actually part of meetings with the Multnomah Health Department and are still on phone calls, some people. So that's we're always just trying to make sure that we have a foundation of accurate information. It's diversified in terms of what people are doing. So we have a team of people socially distanced who pack kits and supplies and donations, and also field phone calls from people in the community who want to donate things. And so they get those kits ready so that on Mondays, any vendors who line up and make the list then go out and distribute those supplies. So there's this whole kind of enterprise that's all created by unhoused people. Although I have to say that the two people that were first that inspired us with that tent I described on the side of the freeway, they're both now housed.
Oh, wow.
And, I feel like in March, one woman got an apartment, and then yesterday, the person who really has just, been extraordinary, she got keys to her apartment. So
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
That must make you feel really good.
Oh, every time. And we're always like, we want to take a picture of those keys.
Yeah.
Because we're all about you got to celebrate everything you can celebrate, right?
Yes. Especially now.
Now.
Do you think as kind of an alternative street paper that this is a good source of information for people to get different perspectives?
Yeah. I think one of the things I'm really proud of with our paper is we value independent news. So we have firewalls between our advocacy and our journalism, our fundraising and our journalism. So we really protect the journalism as a space of independent media. And it's extraordinary for journalists, a moment of just, I think when we really see that our democracy needs independent journalism. We see all these reporters, freelance journalists that are out on the streets getting this important information out. And that's something we take very seriously at Street Roots. And it's something I think our vendors take a lot of pride in, that we're a part of a very important democratic enterprise.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And they should be proud of that. It's and there's some really good information in the papers. So how can we, as a public, how can we help support Street Roots? Now that for right now, you're online, you're digital only. So what are the ways that we can help support?
We will actually go back to selling on August 12th a magazine. So that'll be a special edition that we produce because we don't know how much people will be able to sell. It's a color edition, COVID-19, about homelessness and a lot of original reporting for this moment. We have a lot of restrictions in place, so people will be wearing masks. We've surveyed readers. We worked with the health department, 6-foot distancing, so people will be, if paying in cash, will be in a bucket 6 feet away. The paper will be set out. So there's a lot of pieces to this. We're also launching Venmo so that people will actually be able to pay their vendor on their own phone. It'll go to Street Roots, and then we'll pay out the vendor. So we launched the magazine, but then we'll soon launch the newspaper. We just want to find out how things are going and always be willing to pull things back if they're not working.
Just kind of test it out first. Test it out on the magazine. Yeah, good idea.
Test it out. And we're making a health video this week, so all our vendors are going through health certification. But that's not going to reach all our vendors. The number of our vendors are elders. They're, at risk themselves. They're so, when we look at other street newspapers, we're actually the last street newspaper in North America to go back to printing. And when we look at the other ones, they're at about 50-60% of their sales. So we are going to keep our COVID 19 or coronavirus action team. We are going to continue to pay stipends through that. We are going to continue to pay assistance. We're just figuring out ways to do that. So all of that, we just honestly need donations.
Okay.
So streetroots.org/donate, or you can just go to our website, streetroots.org, and you can actually read our news there too. Because we've heard from a lot of folks who can't go out. There's so many people who are either at risk themselves or their family is at risk. So we want to make sure that everyone still gets access to the news. And then lots of times people just set up a recurring donation and they'll even flag it. Like, I just want this money to go to vendors.
Yeah.
But even if they don't flag it, we're getting the money to vendors. So just to know that that's a really solid way. Like, we're a very lean organization. So if you're donating to us, we're making sure unhoused people get money.
Good. That's great. I appreciate your time and the information. And I hope that people will, subscribe to the digital edition. But when they're out on the street, if they're able to get out there and get that, to get it there too. I look forward to seeing them out on the vendors out on the street again. Thanks so much, Kaia, and for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Monica. I really appreciate your support. I mean, you clearly interact with vendors yourselves.
Yeah. And to all of you watching, please check out their website and find out more about Street Roots, and stay safe and stay healthy.